Hello there, you're watching Sports Tonight Live and welcome to the Rugby Show. We've got a full Six Nations preview and more with me, Rhodri Williams, and I'm in the company of former England coach Dick Best and Ben Coles from the rugbyblog.co.uk. Before we get involved with the Six Nations, maybe we should start with a tribute to a great player who's had to retire today, Lewis Moody. Dick.
Well, he's been a fantastic servant to Leicester, England, and now with Bath, and you know, he's a warhorse, isn't he? He's worked incredibly hard over a decade, and has been one of the great England stalwarts. You know, so much so that Martin Johnson made him captain in the last World Cup campaign, which didn't go terribly well for them. But that shouldn't blemish what should be a magnificent career for the man, because he's just, you know, he's done everything.
Well, he's done everything, and he's won a lot. I mean, he's a hugely decorated player.
Yeah, a really astonishing trophy cabinet. I think it's 7 Premiership titles, 2 Heineken Cups with Leicester during that great kind of era in the 2000s, and then success with England as well, of course, part of that World Cup. I think he made quite an important line-out catch in the final, if I remember rightly, that set up the drop goal. So yeah, really important player who just always put his body on the line, and very unique, I think we can say. There aren't many players like him, and there won't be. Do
you know what's amazing was the response on Twitter, even from the Welsh. I mean, people like Shane Williams and Jamie Roberts are two that just come to mind straight away, who said, you know, one of the toughest players they'd ever played against, and had huge respect for him. Oh, and that's always nice to see, especially with the England-Wales divide.
Yeah, I think professional players this day and age, you know, have a lot of respect for each other, and if you are a good player or a great player like Lewis has been, then you deserve every credit you get. He's done everything in the game, as we've said, and I think it's the way he's played, the way he's put his body on the line, and you know, the pain and the suffering that he's gone through. I think everyone's felt that, but he's played one way, and that is 150%, and he's faced the consequences because he's spent a lot of his latter years injured.
I mean, you know, he has been put together, hasn't he? I mean, one of the statements from him was thanking the medics and the physios who've put him back together time and time again. And then, ironically, of course, he has to finish because of injury, but it's a shoulder injury. But you know, it's been everything, hasn't it? I mean, it's been the knee, it's been the ankle, it's been absolutely everything.
It's, in a sense, it's remarkable that he lasted as long as he did. When you think of all the shoulder injuries and knee injuries and injuries to his ribs and everything. I mean, the other thing we have to think about is that there are a lot of fly halves all over the world who are very relieved to see him retire, because he's left a fair few in pieces himself as well. So it works both ways. But yes, great irony that he's had to go out because of a shoulder injury.
Yeah. You don't earn the nickname Mad Dog for nothing.
No, not at all.
But of course, it's tough for any player who has to finish earlier than they want to. You know, psychologically, it's a big blow. I mean, I just read some of the things he was saying, and of course he'll miss it. And it'll be difficult. It'll be difficult for him, Dave.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a period now. You know, what does he do with himself? You know, he's got to find out what his intentions are business-wise now. But just getting out of the training regime that he's been used to for the last decade, the fact is, you know, getting up, going to training every day, you know, doing your stuff, doing your gym work, doing the rugby training, doing the athletic ability, you know, all this sort of thing goes out the window. But you ask all of them, what they miss most is the banter, the changing room banter, you know, people taking the mickey out of you for whatever you're wearing and stuff like that, you know.
Well, joining us on the phone now is a gentleman who knows Lewis Moody very well and was instrumental in bringing him from Leicester to Bath, and that's Cyrian McGeechan, Director of Rugby at Bath Rugby. Cyrian, it is sad news. I mean, you wanted to see him perform at his best for Bath. It's not to be, but I'm sure you've had some fantastic times coaching Lewis with the Lions as well.
Yes, indeed. I mean, I think we're all sad that, you know, having retired from England, I think he was looking forward to having 18 months of club rugby where he could relax a bit and just enjoy it without all the travel and the extra turmoil that goes with international rugby. But it wasn't to be. I think it was the 5th operation on his shoulder, and we got him within 2 weeks, we thought, of fitness, and then it wasn't right. And Lewis is one of those players, he's 100% whether he's training or playing, and I think you know, he couldn't have I think, psychologically worked when he knew he wasn't 100% fit.
Ben Coles and Dick Best with me in the studio, Syrian, and they used the word unique describing Lewis Moody. As somebody who's coached him as well with the Lions, what makes him unique, or what made him unique as a player?
I think he's just 100% committed. He doesn't worry what his body's going through or where he's putting it, and he puts it in places where others might think twice, time and time again. Hence, I think the number of injuries that he's ended up having. But if you wanted somebody in your team where he just worked so hard, no matter who the opponent was, he was just a great person to have for setting the right standards and the right commitment.
And leadership ability, do you think you'll miss him as a leader in the club, Ian?
Yes. I think one of the big pluses, although he hasn't played a huge amount for Bath, he's been very good at setting the standards and changing the culture at the club, which we've worked very hard on in the last 12 months. And he's been very instrumental in that. He doesn't take fools gladly, and he's been very honest and helped set the standards. And I think, we're going to still have him involved in that. He's good with the youngsters. We want him still involved, mentoring some of the young back row players we've got, and still drawing on that experience to set the best environment possible for the players and the team to keep developing.
That was going to be my next question, where he goes next and what does he do next. So that's good news that you're keeping him involved with the club.
Yeah, we want to keep him involved. He's a lot to offer. He's England captain. He's Lions. He was great on the Lions tour. He's a World Cup winner, which some people forget sometimes. And he's been around a long time, and he knows what success is all about, having experienced a lot of it at Leicester. And certainly we want him involved with our academy, but also with our younger players in the first team squad, and staying on at the club too. He's a great person to have around as a club for our commercial as well as playing events.
Well, Syrian, that's great news indeed. Just to move on, I must ask you about the Six Nations. I mean, I know you're extremely busy with Bath Rugby. Just 2 rounds to go. A little summary of how you see it coming to an end, this magnificent 2012 Six Nations season, which I'm sure you enjoy watching nevertheless.
Yes, well, it probably comes down to Wales v France for the championship, doesn't it?
That's a fantastic start. You're absolutely right, Syrian.
It's been interesting, intriguing. I think it's going to be tough now on Ireland and France to play 4 games in 4 weeks. And I think, come games 3 and 4, they might have to make some big calls about changing personnel to try and keep the team refreshed and up to speed. So I think there's a lot to play with. I think it'll be interesting to see how England go in Paris at the weekend. Ireland did well and were very competitive. I actually think England defensively are better than Ireland. So it'll be interesting to see how France have adjusted to what happened against the Irish. I know they've changed their half-backs, so to me it suggests that they might be going route 1 for a while.
Yeah, well, we got an idea then what France are going to do, but England, Stuart Lancaster hasn't named the team yet, has he? I wonder what surprises he has in store.
No, I think they'll want to build on, there's certainly attacking lines. They were very close to some very good scores against Wales. Certainly handled the Welsh midfield very well, which will please them. And obviously, I think they know that France will come at them up front and probably start the game as they finished it against Ireland, when they drew everything in a bit tighter to get back at the Irish. And I think probably it will be tactics reversed for the weekend. That they'll probably want to get on the front foot against England early, get the scoreboard moving, and then open up afterwards. They played very laterally early on, I thought, against Ireland, and maybe thought that they could find space without working for it.
Well, Sir Ian, really appreciate your time. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the season with Bath Rugby.
Okay, thanks very much.
Sir Ian McGeechan there then, well, without a doubt, the most experienced coach on the British Isles, or probably in the world by now, Dick.
Yes, he's been around the track a few times, and he understands rugby players, and glowing reports about Lewis there. Delighted to hear that Bath are going to keep him on, because these people are role models now, and I think he's of an age, Lewis, and a responsibility that it augurs well for Bath in the future.
All right, plenty to discuss. So we'll look ahead, of course, to the penultimate round of matches in the Six Nations. But before we do that, of course, we've got to look back at what happened between France and Ireland just last weekend. And let's not forget the weekend before as well, where it's all about Wales. See you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back. You're watching Sports Tonight live, and it's the Rugby Show with a full RBS Six Nations preview, because we're into the penultimate weekend. Now I'm in the company of Dick Best and Ben Coles. And let's just look back at last weekend, because of course it was the rearranged game, Ben, between France and Ireland. Things have warmed up there now, so they're able to play that game. And France, once again, didn't disappoint by confusing us all.
Yeah, they very subdued first half and kind of let Ireland dominate them physically, and Johnny Sexton was getting the points on the board. Also, Tommy Bowe, 2 fantastic tries. I mean, the second one, especially the chip and chase, that was magic. No wonder he's just signed a £1 million move to go back to Ulster. He's a really quality player. And Ireland just really got in with that choke tackle as well, slowing down French ball, making them concede scrums. I thought Ireland were great. And then they threw it away. They just ran out of steam, and the bench weren't as good as France's when they came on. And it was really disappointing. Ireland were gutted about the result, and yeah, so they should be.
So the wake-up call for Philippe Saint-André, that's what you said when we were just off camera there, Dick. And I mean, he must have thought that the talent he's got there, that the juggernaut would just slide in, move up into a higher gear and away to go. But
yeah, you're right. Well, with the talent he's got there, they should win this Six Nations by a country mile, and who's to say that they won't still. But they just didn't play.
I was waiting for that. God, where was
I thought, shall I be polite? No.
There's always one game, isn't there, in a series of games with the French where they just don't bother to turn up. And for that first half against Ireland, they just weren't at the races. And I would have thought that Philippe Saint-André would be apoplectic in the stands, just thinking you've got all this talent, all this horse racing power, in your backs, and you've got these great forwards as well, and the thing just didn't function. The halfbacks let them down.
Well, that's the thing. They couldn't get that fantastic backline really moving like they could be. So he's now changed for this match against England. He's brought in Dupuis and Lionel Bouxis. They've been around. They used to play together at Stade Francais.
Yeah, that's right.
They know each other well. But I'm always interested with coaches like that. When somebody has a bad game, because we'll get on to Wales in a moment. Like Priestland had a nightmare. Do you drop them, or do you just show a little bit of faith and say, look, guys, you had a bit of a nightmare, but I know what you can do?
I thought Parry and Tranduk were bad, but they weren't bad enough to be dropped. And I also wonder whether, if France had won that game, whether he would have changed the halfbacks around, or whether, because the Grand Slam's now gone, and he knows that France might not win this tournament, he's kind of thought, why not try something new? Why not try some new guys at halfback? And I can't remember the last time Dupuis started.
Quite mild by French selection standards, isn't it?
Only two.
Just changing 2 players.
If you compare it to Livermore, who used to change 15 every other game.
Yeah, I mean it's gentle tinkering almost, isn't it, by French standards. I think he's adopting the policy, showing some faith in the players and just saying, look, we can't be that bad, 2 games on the trot, and I don't think they will be. I think England might just suffer a bit of a backlash.
Did you, when you were coach of England, did you make some sort of rash decisions like that and drop players after one bad game? And
we rarely change players. You know, you'd have to have a limb hanging off for you to miss a game.
And to have handed 3 interception passes.
We went through 6 Nations seasons with changing 1 or 2 players, and that was for injury, purely injury. You know, we had a side. You know, most of the country could name 1 to 15. You know, it was a settled side, and it was a great side with a special group of people, and they wanted to play. And you know, most of them, even though they were recommended by the doctor or the physiotherapist not to play, still wanted to play. You know.
So France disappointing against Ireland, but to give Ireland credit, as you said, you know, a good performance, but running out of steam. Maybe that is a sort of slightly ageing squad.
Yes,
syndrome that
yeah,
they
I
have.
think so. But just they played with such intensity in that first half. I mean, that big back row of Ferris and O'Brien and Donica O'Callaghan actually had his best game for ages. They just hit so hard that by the time it got to 50 minutes and they were swaying a bit, you needed the subs to come on. And whereas France could bring on like Nane and Servat,
they matched the French physicality, didn't they?
Exactly.
Basically, that
And you
back
have
row.
to.
Oh yeah,
Because if you don't, it's all over.
You have to match it. You have to stop them crossing the game line, because if you do, it's good night, nurse. You know, it's all over, because they'll just overrun you. And that's my fear for this coming game on Sunday, is that they will just go for England in a big way up front. And they've got box seats and Dupuis now, and so they're kicking game. They'll be better off territorially now.
All right, let's go back a further week, because we weren't on last week, and the game at Twickenham.
Must we?
England-Wales. Do you know what? It was a good game of rugby. It was a good test match. It
It was
exciting.
a great test match.
It could have gone
Agreed.
either way. The try, the non-try at the end. I mean, everybody's still talking about it because, well, every Englishman's still talking about it. Strettle went large. He was convinced it was a try.
Yeah.
There, you see the picture
can we
here.
see
Look,
it?
he
Yeah,
goes over
let's,
like that, right, and then he's turned, and he doesn't actually get any downward pressure on it.
Does he not?
Are you the video referee? Are you?
Look at him! Look at his arms! Look, the ball's
No,
above
but
his
when he
arm.
rolls over and he places.
No.
which
Look,
will
look.
be
This sequence of photographs are just
any second
magnificent, and well, it was inconclusive, wasn't it?
No. Not in my book.
We're getting there. We're nearly there.
Look, the ball's not on the grass.
We're nearly at the moment.
What's that? That's a
Where
try.
is it?
That is a try.
It's not. Look, I'm going to have to stand up in a minute and pointing out to you that
The
the
tip
ball
of
is
the
not
ball. The tip of the ball.
Look,
is,
You can't see.
Look. Oh, go back.
Oh, we've lost it.
Look, there. Look, you can't. But that's inconclusive because you can't see that the point of the ball. If you drew the ball there, you see, is it touching the green? Is it touching the grass?
Yes.
Is it
Yes,
like
There's
basically.
downward pressure.
It's a try. Look, we're not going to beef about it. We got beaten by
Are
a
we
better
not?
side. We're in the development stage. You know, the attacking game looked to have improved dramatically. Our defence was good. We made Wales look pretty average at times.
Well, you did. You know, players like Jamie Roberts, who've been very
we nullified
effective,
them.
you know,
Nullified
totally
them.
nullified.
I think it helped that he was injured quite early on, and so he was
Yeah,
he was a
still.
bit kind of out of sorts. But yeah,
Yeah,
England,
but they're
England
always
played
injured.
really well.
The Welsh are always injured.
No,
you know.
we don't have injury.
That's why they have
You
those
never beat them.
cryotherapy
You just score
pods,
more
isn't it?
points.
Listen, what we do now, we have an injury. We have that process. I've told you before. Gatland just puts them in the freezer for slightly longer,
That's fair enough.
and everything just knits together, and it's all fine.
That Scott Williams try though was remarkable. So
How
that
did
was
he-
good
how did he
good
nick-
enough
how
to
did
win
he
a
nick
game.
The ball, by the way, from Courtney Laws.
Well, I had a couple of help from the two mates
Yeah.
who held,
Well,
held Courtney Laws in place, and so he went, "Oh, thanks very much." and
Courtney
then ran
Laws
off,
was
so.
doing his sort of 8-year-old stuff, wasn't he? Carrying the ball under one arm, like the one-arm paper hanger from Feltham,
You can't. Be
and it
doing
just
that.
got ripped off him. And it was bizarre because we had a spat of replacements, which is what Lancaster's being criticised for now. You know, Youngs came on for Dixon, and did he really deserve to come on? Was he, did form justify him being there? No, it probably didn't. Laws came on and had the ball taken off him like sweets from
It's
a child.
substitute's nightmare.
They just didn't work. Flood came on, didn't really make it happen. So it didn't work for England, and people were criticising the fact that there was this deluge of players coming on the field, and was it sort of like minute 57, page 26 in the RFU coaching manual, let's bring some players on, sort of thing.
Talking with the RFU, just quickly, because Ben Cohen, I saw today saying that he didn't think that Stuart Lancaster was the man to take England forward. However, things seem to be settling and moving on. I mean, I know you lost that game, but it was a big turnaround and a good performance.
Still only scored 2 tries though. I think if he wins one of these next 2 games, if he wins in Paris, then it's hard to say no to him. And then if you beat Ireland at home, it's just such a
who might be on their
situation.
last legs by then.
Who might be knackered by then because they've played 4 games in 4 weeks.
But is it because of this England job? I mean, it's interesting because you look at the football job as well. Stuart Pearce interim. Is it the job that has to have the big name? Do the fans want it? Does English rugby crave that? The big name, the Nick Mallet, the.
I think it does.
I
think it does. I think the
Dick Best.
Is this an exclusive?
I doubt that very much. No? I don't think I'm even on the betting slips at the moment.
I don't know. We'll talk to the butler later. You never know. Might be coming in as a rank outsider.
Yes, it's not about what the fans want. It's about what the RFU want. And it's about the man who will make the decision is Ian Ritchie, the new chief executive. He's made it quite clear. He sort of dismissed the challenge of John Kirwan, basically saying that John Kirwan is not experienced enough to take over England at this stage. John Kirwan's been to 3 World Cups with different countries. He knows his stuff and is a pretty good coach. So does that discount Stuart Lancaster because he hasn't been to any World Cups? And he hasn't been coaching anybody.
Well, it does make the decision look a bit stupid. Should he
Surely
go with?
You have to.
Should he go with?
Yeah. So perhaps they are going down the route where they want a big hitter in there. We read today that Jake White has all of a sudden made himself available, and
they were going to it. When they were looking at first, no, everyone was interested. I remember we had a call from Nick Mallet's agent saying, no, he's not interested at all.
Yeah.
Of course he is.
Well, Jake White allegedly has got a 4-year contract with the Brumbies. They're saying that they've got him tied in for 4 years, and here he is applying for a job with England. The headhunters have allegedly scoured the world looking for the top men. There's probably only about 25 people capable of doing the job, so it's not a difficult task for a headhunter to go and find these guys.
Actually, that's the job I wouldn't mind. Being the
headhunter, yeah.
It's got to be the easiest job in the world. Right, okay. Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, we'll talk a bit more about England looking ahead to the weekend's games. Let's just quickly talk about Scotland, what happened with them against France. You can stand there and go, they're brave. It's another... it's just they just haven't won again. It's another game that Andy Robinson has not got the big W.
5 in a row. 5 in a row, 6 this weekend if they don't beat Ireland.
I'm sure he's delighted that you've just reminded him of that.
Well, it's the facts, isn't it? That's what international rugby's about. It's about the results, and you can perform great. I mean, they performed a lot better against France. I thought Stuart Hogg was fantastic. This young 19-year-old who came in and scored a try within the first 10 minutes. He looks the real deal. But you need about 15 players of his kind of quality, and they're just not. They haven't got the players at the moment to seemingly get that win. And playing Italy next week in Rome, where they've only won twice, I think, in Six Nations history, that's going to be massive.
So the question is, how much more time? Is there anybody else who could do better? If there isn't, and if it is the players, like Ben's saying, then you just say, well, it's less hassle. We stick with Andy. He's a good coach, and we are seeing some improvement. But we're still
they're just about to bring Scott Johnson on board,
well, of course,
aren't they?
yeah. He's left the Ospreys, and that's his next.
And I think they're going to bring in a new defensive coach who's working in Australia at the moment.
Yeah.
So they've got the embryo of a framework, a coaching team, virtually in place. Why they feel the need to bring in somebody like Scott Johnson and a new defensive coach? Are they presuming that Andy Robinson is going to take the job of coaching the Lions in 2013? If he carries on like he is, he's going to be lucky to have a job with Scotland. Because I don't think the Scottish public will put up with the fact of this losing streak. They know there's an awful lot of money going into it. Players are being highly paid, irrespective of numbers of players they've got in Scotland. People want results, and that will start affecting them commercially with sponsorship and other things, the knock-on effect of not winning. And so he's in a very precarious position at the moment, as far as I'm concerned. Plus the fact he is extremely highly paid for what he does in Scotland, And people, I'm sure people will be alluding to that fairly shortly.
Is he, I suppose, is he the highest paid coach in the world these days? We used to have that. We used to have that tag in Wales when we used to have Graham Henry.
Yeah, well, that only surfaced when Wales started to lose with Graham
Nobody
Henry.
mentioned it
beforehand. When there was 10 straight wins, he was the Messiah.
The great Redeemer.
The Redeemer.
He was, yeah.
That's right. And then all of a sudden, all sorts of things started to come out of the woodwork.
How much are we paying it?
Yeah, when Wales entered a losing streak. And eventually you sacked Graham Henry. You as a nation got rid of him and said, look, sorry, mate, but you're not good enough.
So Andy Robertson, is that the stage he's at?
I think
he's been paid too much.
I think
not getting the results. He's got to go.
I think he's at a stage now where he has to deliver results, and he has to win. He has to win these next 2 games.
If he loses these next 2,
I think there'll be a little meeting.
You put that so politely.
There'll be a meeting, and there'll be a heart to heart, and because the common phrase is now, people will say, have you lost the dressing room? Because you're asking for something. Yes, the performances have improved. We can see how you're trying to play. We can see what you want to do, but we're not winning.
Just a quick one. What the top international coaches? What is the going rate these days? Because it's always interesting making that.
International coaches, you would be around 300 plus, going up to 500,000, with bonuses.
Yeah.
And Andy won't be picking up too many of those. I don't think.
No. All right. We'll continue talking Six Nations, and of course we'll now focus on the weekend. It is the penultimate weekend in the RBS Six Nations. So we're back in a couple of minutes. You're watching Sports Tonight Live. This is the Rugby Show with me, Rhodri Williams. We are talking, of course, Six Nations, but also a lot more than that. We've chatted to Sir Ian McGeechan about Lewis Moody's retirement, but now let's focus on the penultimate weekend in the Six Nations. And we'll start with the game down at the Millennium Stadium, Wales-Italy, Ben. It is, well, I'm not concerned as a Welshman. However, Italy will be coming out fairly tasty in this one, I think, following their very disappointing show against Ireland.
Yes, yeah, I agree. They need to start performing now. I mean, I'm not going to say there's pressure on Jacques Brunel. It's his first season. There's a lot of new systems in place, a lot of new young players, but they can't afford to have another performance like they did away in Dublin. They need to kick on. They need to score a couple of tries, and they need to really kind of. I think the way to beat Wales is to really try and match them physically and get stuck in. And hopefully they can do that. They've made a lot of changes. I think they've made about 7 changes to their team, which is that typical Italian inconsistency with your selection. It never helps. But no, they have to really step up and try and put the pressure on Wales up front.
Yeah, I suppose looking at the Welsh team here, we see Priestland, of course, who's kept his place there outside half. Jamie Roberts, funnily enough, was saying it's the most nervous he's been as a Wales international because of Scott Williams' performance and his injury, whether he'd been picked, but Gatland has gone with Roberts in the centre. Oh, it looks fantastic, that, doesn't it? It is a good side, but Tipperick is playing there in the back row instead of Sam Warburton.
Yeah.
Well, the view
is
my view is he's probably rested for the bigger fish a week later against France, and this Tipperick is a pretty tasty open side. He's a very, very good player at Ospreys, and I think that side is probably 30 to 40 points better than Italy if they play properly.
Really? Gethin Jenkins captaining the side?
So long as they don't start focusing on the game against France.
I don't think Gethin Jenkins has ever won.
No, that's something we should gloss over.
His last 3
I think
games.
This is his 4th game as captain.
Yeah. Never won as. I don't think he'll lose to Italy.
Be pretty disappointed, I got to say. No, it's a good Welsh team right through, and it's something that we're blessed with at the moment. Because often we rely on 3 or 4 players, but I think we can go look through that team and. Wow, being Welsh has never been so much fun, let me tell you. And another Welshman who just is loving being Welsh at the moment is former Welsh international himself, coach of the Ospreys for 6 years, now head coach at London Welsh, Lynn Jones. Lynn!
Rhodri, how are you?
Fabulous, man!
Your show.
How are you? It's great to have you along. Your thoughts on the last couple of weekends of the Six Nations as far as Wales are concerned?
Oh, it's fantastic. Obviously from a Welsh perspective. But not only that, I think the standard has been quite high right throughout, and Scotland have been very unlucky to lose their games when they played particularly well. And, we saw a fantastic match in Paris on Sunday with Ireland. I think the standard in Six Nations has been great. Not just for players, but for referees as well. I think the standard's been great. And it's nice to see Wales on top of the pile again.
Isn't it fabulous? What's made Wales, what's just given them that little extra, that X factor, this Six Nations?
Well, it's just quite simple. Great players make great coaches. And Wales at the moment have a lot of great players coming through the system. The academies in Wales have been up and running since 2003, and I think you're seeing some really good product coming through from a very, very good academy system. And I think the opposition, I think they've surprised the opposition, really. And, who can touch George North? He's an absolute beast. He's going to be the next John Alomo, really. And, when you take into consideration that Ryan Jones can't get in the side, Dwayne Peel has been sent to Coventry for whatever reason, and you could argue he's the best 9 in world rugby. So, there's a rich vein, at the moment.
Lynn, you wouldn't believe how difficult this is for Ben Coles and Dick Best to take on board.
Oh, look, some consolations that England are actually.
It's all right. Hey, Dick's got his agent calling now for the England job. Dick's up for the England job.
Oh, dear.
No, but I'm loving it. I'm totally loving it. But Dick and Ben are finding it terrible, Lynn. Terrible.
Yeah, well, it's everybody has peaks and troughs, and England are going through a little bit of a trough at the moment. And what the beauty is, I think they have bottomed out, and there are green shoots coming through. Fantastic defence, best at the moment in the Six Nations. You know what? They just need a little bit of attacking flair. Good, solid player in Farrell at 10 and a really good game. Best 10 performance for England for a long, long while. So it's looking good there from them. The discipline in the squad and the team and everything they're playing is 10 times better than you've seen for a long, long while now. And it's only going to get better when they find some rich attacking skill.
Very interesting from our perspective that the Englishman coaching the Wales defence is really holding his own and doing a fantastic job. They look to me like the best defence in world rugby at the moment. What do you think, Lynn?
Yeah, well, not the shadow of a doubt. We saw that against Scotland in the first 30 minutes where we hardly touched the ball and Scotland came at them, but they couldn't get anywhere. It's not just the organisation, it's the passion to get off the line, but the tackle technique, the hitting people hard, and then the counter-ruck and the breakdown now is just such a scientific area now that everybody is, if your ruck area understanding is not top dog, then you're going to settle, and Wales are perhaps at the cutting edge of that at the moment in the Northern Hemisphere. And to the other sides, and the sides catch up. They're all great sides are based on sound defence is an old cliche, sure, but so important.
I think the thing that staggered us a couple of weeks ago was when somebody came on the show and basically said that the speed of which Wales are winning the ball at the breakdown, it was something like 1.7 seconds.
1.4, I think it was, Dick.
Was it? Which is just phenomenal,
Yeah.
And they compared it to other teams in the Six Nations.
England were 4.3.
Yeah, and there lies the difference in terms of their attacking play. Do you have a take on that?
No, that's right. It all comes with size, isn't it? And good footwork, speed. And it's all about the player carrying the ball, having responsibility to get the ball back as quick as he can. I think Wales is, that average may be brought down, I think, by some good line breaks. And when you get over the advantage line, as you know, Dick, it's a lot easier to generate a quick ball. But as you rightly point out, it's a huge ingredient to being a successful rugby side. And, there's a lot goes into influencing matches now by looking at statistics, and you can gauge your team play right around them, and Wales are doing so at the moment. You know what? There's a lot of good talent there, but it's young, it's inexperienced, and they're motivated intrinsically at the moment. Wait till they start getting girlfriends, wait till they start getting injuries.
Girlfriends? You haven't got time for those.
So that anyway. But then the challenges will come for water and gas, I can assure you.
What's going to stop them winning a Grand Slam?
I was going to say, what's going to stop them getting girlfriends then?
You know what? I can't think of anything stopping them at the moment. Really, we know that it's going to be a brave man to bet against them against Italy, and it builds for a great crescendo against France on the 17th of March. One thing with France, obviously, they're a fantastic side, and we saw that again on Sunday. But with so much to plug for, with a packed Millennium Stadium, there's only going to be one winner. You know, it's all I can see. Stopping Wales from winning his injury to Sam Wootton. I think Wales have done well in resting him for the next match. I know they put it out as an injury, but it's not an injury. It's resting him for the bigger challenge ahead.
He's having a rest. He's going to spend the day in the deep freeze. Listen, very quickly, Lynn. Ben Coles' Rugby Blog, you know, it'll be on fire should London Welsh, your team, get into the Aviva Premiership. What are you laughing at?
That doesn't sound like it's very realistic, that laugh.
Oh my word, can you imagine that?
It's on the cards.
Right then. Look, we're starting the playoffs on Saturday, starting at Old Deer Park, 12:30 kickoff. All is welcome. Half rates if you're accompanied by your grandparents as well. Yeah, it's there's 8 teams in the championship this year who can win it. Last year it was Worcester and Worcester only. This year there's 8 sides, so it's going to be an exciting climax again. And good luck to whoever goes out. There's 8 sides, and we all beat each other. You know what? They're all one-offs, so let the best team win, with your old thing.
Fantastic. All the best, Lynn. Enjoy. Thanks for joining us. Thank you very much. Lynn Jones, moving on to Ireland, Scotland. This one, I just can't see Scotland winning out in Dublin. Just can't see it.
No.
Can you?
No, they did it 2 years ago at Croke Park when Dan Parks kicked an important penalty. But that Ireland team looks pretty good, even without Paul O'Connell, who's obviously gone for the season. For the Six Nations.
Yeah, for the Six Nations.
And no Conor Murray. But I thought Carney and Bow against France were both outstanding. So they'll look to get a bit of ball in hand and to really run at those Scottish backs. It's going to be good.
I mean, Scotland really, Dick, have to throw it all at this one.
Yeah, this is a big game for them. But player for player, you'd have to say that the Irish have got the edge on them there. You know, there's a bit more of a cutting edge. Tommy Bow just coming into it, Hogg at fullback, quality find.
DeLuca's in the centre.
DeLuca Morrison, not really in the same league in my book.
Very one-dimensional centre.
Yeah, just big ball carriers. They've got some poke on the wings with Lamont and Jones, and Laidlaw and Blair have got to play out of their skins just to compete. But it'll be based around this Scottish pack that's done pretty well for them. Denton, Rennie, Barkley, they've got to lift their game and play above themselves again in order just to compete. You'd have to back Ireland here at home, but as you say, it's a side that might be on the decline. Some of these people are getting quite tired now. That French game would have taken a lot out of them.
Yeah, of course. I suppose it is a disadvantage. Scotland have had that time. They'll be fresh. They'll
be
bouncing off the ceiling.
We English are hoping that Ireland would be on their knees by the time they arrive in
Twickenham. When they arrive
in 2 weeks' time.
You're also hoping that France will be on their knees, Dick.
True. For different reasons, though.
France, England, out there in Paris. Yeah. I'm looking forward. I think it'll be a cracking game. I really do.
Yeah. If it matches last weekend's game, then we'll be very happy.
That's the French team, and of course they're the changes that we were talking about earlier. Bouxis at 10 and Dupuis. They have an understanding. They've played before. That fantastic centre partnership of Fofana and Rugby. How will Fofana do against England's world-class centre, as mentioned by Andy Farrell?
Yeah, that's good. I think Andy Farrell also said that he'd never seen Brad Barrett be bettered by any centre in any match. So that's going to be a real test. Wesley Fofana is the new kid on the block. He's got 3 tries in 3 games, and he's taken this championship by storm. I think he's been one of the best backs, if not the best back in the tournament.
There's a great pack of forwards, isn't it?
That is a great side. I mean, if that side loses, there's a bit of finger pointing going on, isn't there?
Yeah, and I think they'll go for England up front. I think they look at England and they say, well, generally we're very strong up front, but I think they'll scrum them. I think they'll attack them in the line-outs, and I think they'll take the game like the last quarter of the Irish game. they'll take it to them round the fringes and they'll go route one, very direct. And Aeronautica's got the sort of nod over England in recent games. Here's a chance for England to get one back on them after the World Cup, but I personally can't see it.
Why haven't England announced their team? What's all this sort of...
Bit of secrecy, a bit of a few.
No, look, we all know what the team is. You know,
it's the same one.
Yeah, it is. We've got a squad of 23. Quite why they're playing silly buggers and not announcing the side, God only knows. But it's they've got the squad, and what the squad is, that's it. You know, who are they going to change at this stage? They've brought Hodgson back. They've waved goodbye to Toby Flood.
He's gone back. He's out of the squad playing for Leicester.
Yeah, and he's been, Cockerell and Matt O'Connor, the coaches at Leicester, have sort of criticised the English management, saying that they don't want players with flair.
They just don't want to lose. I mean, Leicester are furious with the way they've treated Youngs and Flood. That's a really, I mean, Matt O'Connor said it, but I bet it came from Richard Cockerell's mouth and kind of just went through. I just think this England team, you've got to remember, it's still a very young team and there's still so many combinations playing only their second game together. I think going to Paris and winning might be a step too far, but they'll give it a good shot. They need to score some tries. They need to see some tries from Tuilagi and Chris Ashton as well.
He's under a lot of pressure in the Ashton because he has not
is.
featured in this championship.
He's not. I spoke to him after the game, actually, after the England-Wales game. He came into the hospitality and did a bit of a 5-10 minute chat with him up on the stage, and he was very frustrated. Very, very frustrated.
What, they're not giving him the ball?
No.
Yeah, I spoke to him Monday and he said that they might as well.
I spoke to him Monday.
Yeah, no.
I spoke to him last week.
I'll ring him. I'll ring him after.
Ring him now. Your phone's been going off. He said they might as well have had two props on the wing against Scotland and against Italy, and I just thought, wow, well that is strong words. So get him some ball. Let us see what.
And he's not going to see a lot of ball, I don't think, in this particular game, because this is a game that England will play, and it will be a lot of, as I've said before on this show, the Lancaster way of playing is territory.
Yeah.
Territory. Get down there, and when you're down there, let's think about getting over the line. There'll be a lot of kicking, and they were happy when they started this campaign with the Hodgson Farrell axis, because it gave them two kickers to kick the ball more, and that's why it didn't actually. It only functioned last week, 2 weeks ago, when Hodgson was injured, and we brought Tuilagi in, who was able to play.
It's funny how these little personalities sort of clashes start building up, don't they? I mean, you think Chris Ashton under Martin Johnson had a field day. Yeah. That's when we saw Chris Ashton and what he can do, and how suddenly somebody can become, within a big change of the squad, but become ineffective. And there's no doubt he's a very talented player. When
you compare the tries scored, it's amazing. It's 2 tries this year, and by the same time last year against those 3 teams, they scored 11. I mean, that's the difference. That's the difference in styles.
In fairness to Lancaster and the coaching team, I don't think Ashton is going hunting for the ball as much as he did during the Johnson era, where he was like
one of them up the old.
Yeah, I think I think he just his stats tell you that he's a hard-working player. He's one of the hardest. His work rate is phenomenally high when he was playing for Northampton before he decided to go to Saracens. Yeah. But he doesn't seem to be working that hard in an England shirt at the moment.
Right, coming up next, we'll have the Bet Butler joining us. And we'll have all the betting ahead of this penultimate weekend in the RBS Six Nations. We're back in a couple of minutes. You're watching Sports Tonight Live. This is the Rugby Show. We've been having a full Six Nations preview as well as other things in the company of me, Rhodri Williams, and I'm joined by Dick Best, former England coach, and Ben Coles of the Rugby Club, the rugbyblog.co.uk. I almost started another website for you, Ben. It's time to look at the betting, and we're joined by the Bet Butler, not in person this evening. So, Butler, why are you not present this evening?
How are you, mate? I've had an operation on my eye, mate. I can see properly now.
Well, it's magnificent. It's great because we have the picture of you here. Is this a bet? Is this somebody that you came in contact with where the bet had gone wrong?
Well, the 2 things you should see the other bloke. and the second thing, it's the first one I've seen for 10 years, and so I filed for divorce this morning.
And what were the odds on that?
Oh, no, big price. No, she's come with us, see that. She's very happy. But it's in a bit of a bad way, mate. But it's all, but we're fine.
All right, well, we wish you all the best. I'm sure it hasn't affected the way that you see the markets.
I like that one. Very good, very good.
Through one eye. Right, what is... where's the value? Overall, we're going to look at first. Overall, Nigel.
Well, I mean, Wales after this massive weekend for Wales last week with the draw, it looks as though the bookmakers are saying that they're going to be the favourite. They're going to win it 4-9. They are. They were the team that everybody backed early doors with with obviously their prowess in the World Cup. Then the money came for France. So I think that the Welsh would be a good result for the bookmakers. I think the French money sort of come in and outnumbered it. But Wales are rightly favourites at 4-9. They played very, very well against England. Obviously, a disputed try. They've got a pretty easy fixture at the weekend, and I think they're the right favourites at 4-9. Would I back them at such short odds? I'm not so sure.
No, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. You're the bet butler. I've got up on the screen here 4-11. Have things changed? Who's taking commission here?
I'm what, sorry?
I got 4-11 on my screen here. I'm just wondering what's happened and who's taking the commission.
No, well, I mean, they're the worthy favourites, though. I think the French are on the other side there, but it's a two-horse race, and really, the Welsh is there to lose, really, I think, at this present stage.
All right, so France 9-4, England 25-1. France 9-4. You can understand it. There's still a bit of value in that French 9-4, isn't there?
Well, I don't know. I mean, obviously they've got to play England in the next game, and I don't think that's a certainty, as we've seen from French clubs in the past. But I think the Welsh have got the probably easier fixtures, and that's why they're the favourite to do so. And obviously that the bookmakers are running slightly scared of the French, so they've obviously got them a lot shorter, or they should be. They're trying to get people to back the Welsh rather than the French there. But there's no difference between the front two, and realistically, I think the prices are about right, because we've come to a stage where it's really a straightforward couple of doubles, and the odds are really done for you. So Wales rightly favourites, France second favourites, and England need a miracle, and the Irish need more than a miracle.
What about the Grand Slam then? Obviously, there's only one team that can win it now.
Yeah, they are. They're two. But I haven't got the caption you're using there, but they're around about 2-1 on. I'm not quite sure what Coral are going.
No. I can tell you they're 4-9 for the Grand Slam.
Well, they're gone quite short compared to the other bookmakers. You get 1-2. You're probably, if you think Wales are going to win the Six Nations, in all intents and purposes, they're going to have to win the Grand Slam. So you're probably better off to back them to win the Grand Slam rather than the Six Nations. So it's probably a little bit smidgen in value doing so. At 7-4, no winner. We've tipped up no winner on the show already, so we're in quite a good shape on that, because it's a lot bigger price than what it was. But the Welsh look the team, obviously, and they've got the easiest fixture. They couldn't really. I picked a couple of better fixtures for them, so I think that probably offers a little bit of value rather than to win the Six Nations as a whole.
Oh, let's go through the games then. Wales, Italy. That's straightforward. I'll tell you what we got here. Outright, Wales 40-1 on. There's a handicap -20. That's 10-11. The draw 33-1. Forget that. Italy 12-1 to win, +20 the handicap, 10-11.
I mean, I said last time I was on that when you spoke about your drop goals, I said about backing the draws at big prices in the Six Nations. There was one last week, so if you back the draw,
I knew you'd bring it up.
I tell you, hey Butler, I got to tell you, Ben Coles has he's not been the same guy this week after not taking your advice.
Shadow of
draw.
my former self.
Oh. Well, I mean, the trouble with these games is that they don't really, especially the Wales game. It's a big price to draw, so I wouldn't be backing it. But I just thought they were going to be quite tight, so I thought the draw might be a decent price, and that's the reason why they come up. The Wales game itself, though, I mean, Wales will win the match, and that question you've got to answer is whether they're going to cover the 20-point handicap. I personally think the best way to do that is not to play on the handicap, but to play on the total points in the game. Because as I said before, this Italian side do score lots of points. They're very attack-minded. They keep the points going over with the penalties. And this season they've offered a couple. They've offered a bit of flair in scoring tries as well. So for me, I'll be looking around about over 52 points around that kind of market and playing that, because obviously, the boys there will know I love my weather stats, and obviously with the Welsh, if it is bad weather, they put the roof on. So I always like going over on the points in the Wales game. So that would be my bet on the weekend. The handicap is 20. I think Wales will cover that. I think they will beat the Italians by more than 20. But I do see the Italians scoring points, and I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, this one. All
right, Butler, we've got to rattle through the next one. Ireland, Scotland. Let's have a look at the prices for that one. Obviously, it's a tough one for Scotland out there. Ireland... are 4-1 on, -10 the handicap. The draw 22-1. Scotland 3-1 for the win.
Well, I think the Scots represent a bit of value here. I would quite go with the Scots on the handicap, especially 10 points. They never get beaten heavily by anybody. I think that the Irish are obviously out of the race to win the Six Nations itself, you know, barring a couple of miracles happening for them. And I think the Scots could take on the Irish, who have obviously got some injuries, key players out. And I think the Scots could pull off a shock here. I think 10 points is one of the bets of the weekend, getting 10 points with Scotland in this game.
All right, and France, England then, the big game out there in Stade de France in Paris.
Yeah, I mean, for every year gone by, whenever we've played the French, I've always thought we've got the beating of them. This time around, I just don't think there's any way for us at all. The handicap is 7 points. I'm not quarrelling around about 6 or 7. I think the 7 points would be quite strong. But I would be very careful of backing the French -7, because I think that could fall into a tie situation where you get this handicap goes into a tie. So with 7 points, I would probably tip up the tie in that around about 12-1, because I think the French to win by exactly 7 is a big runner.
What about the draw? Just tell Ben now, just in case it's 20-1.
Well, I wouldn't put you off the draw in the Ireland-Scotland game, and I wouldn't also put you off a smidgen of value back in the French-England game, but certainly not in the Wales game. But all we needed is one. At 25-1, you only need one, and you're in the ready. How'd the drop goals go?
Thank you very much. The butler, lovely to talk to you. The drop goals not going very well at all. Let's quickly thank you very much to Nigel Seeley, the bet butler there, with all the betting ahead of the weekend's games. Okay, looking ahead then, predictions for the weekend. Dick.
Wales, Ireland, France.
Simple as that. Ben?
Yeah, Wales by about 20, Ireland by 8, and then France. France by less than 7. I think it'll be a really good game in Paris.
All right, Ben Coles, Dick Best, thank you very much for your company. Enjoy the Six Nations, the penultimate weekend, and then, of course, we'll be back looking ahead to the final weekend, and it'll be all eyes on the big Grand Slam match down at Cardiff. Until then, we'll see you soon.
Stay ahead of the game with Sports Tonight Live. Don't miss a thing. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Search for Sports Tonight Live on Facebook and like our fan page. Follow Sports Tonight TV on Twitter and tweet us your thoughts and opinions. Sports Tonight Live, it's the platform for the fans.